For living with Bishop Dale C. Bronner.
He gives you time for purpose. He gives me time for purpose. God gives us time for purpose. Here's the question. Do you have enough purpose that you're working on for God to extend your days? Do you have enough purpose that you're working on for God to extend your days? One of my wonderful mentors in the gospel was lying on his deathbed, and his daughter called me. And she said, I want you to talk to Daddy and give Daddy a reason to live another 10 years. She put her daddy on the telephone with me. And I heard in his voice that I have fought a good fight. I've finished my course. I've kept the faith. I heard that in his voice. He didn't say that with his mouth, but I heard it in his voice. That you can't talk me into extending what is already finished. And I knew from that sound that I heard in his voice that he was finished. And his parting words to me is, I love you. And the next day he went home to be with the Lord. I couldn't talk him into a course that he knew that he had finished. Any more than your having your diploma in your hand, somebody can talk you into going an extra semester. Let me just say that you will have life until your assignment is finished. You will have life until your assignment is finished. You will have life until your assignment is finished. And when your assignment is complete, then your life is extinguished. It is just like my being in a dark room in the house, lighting a candle. And if I were to take the time and then light the candle and walk from the dark room and then come and bring that candle to my bedside. And as soon as I get to my bedside and the candle has served its purpose, I blow it out. I extinguish the candle because it has served its purpose. And the candle that God gives us is to light the way that we're supposed to walk in this life. But after your candle has lit the way for the journey in which you're to walk, and you come to your bedside, God will then extinguish the candle because it has served its purpose. And that's the way our life is today. You can maximize the moment of the light with your candle by taking your candle and using your candle to light other candles. And when I light other candles with my lit wick, then it does not diminish my light, it multiplies my light. So what God lights in on me, if I lean it over to you, I can light your wicks and you become lights. Jesus said, I am the light of the world, but then he turned and lit our wicks and said, now ye are the light of the world and the salt of the earth. Go ahead and be the light. And every time that you speak words of encouragement, you're lighting somebody else. That lady that changed that man's words, she simply lit his wick. Things were coming along very, very slowly. You ought to watch what you're saying. Now, like I can't ever keep any money. I'm always broke. Change your words and you will change your world. I'm just here to tell you, you ought to realize that I am blessed coming in and blessed going out. He's made me to be the head and not the tail, to be above only and not beneath. You better change your words and you'll change your world, and use your light to start lighting other people. Light your children, light your friends, light your co-workers, light your neighbor, light folks in the Walmart, light people in the grocery store. Use it as a wellspring of life. Be a light giver and a life giver to people and light them. The other way that you can multiply light in the world is to become a mirror and reflect light. If you put a candle in front of a mirror, you enhance the light that that candle gives. We become a reflection of the light. Do you realize that the sun is so bright that it shines all the way across the world, hits the moon? The moon has no light of its own. The moon only reflects light that comes from the sun. So the light that you see of the moon is the glory of the sun. It is the reflection of the sun. It reflects that light, and moonlight brings light to people. And it is only a reflector of the light of the sun. It has no light of its own. Well, we worship the S-O-N. We really have no light of our own. The light that we have is the light that he gives to all men. It's because he has lit us. And we want to reflect his light to everybody that we meet. We want his light to be on our countenance. We really do. And light our way. And this is what God really wants to do in our life. We will all have to give an account to the master of what we did with what he gave us. All of us. We will have to give an account to the master of what we did with what he gave us. What have you done with what God gave you? You'll have to give an account of it. You'll have to give an account of it. I want to give you a few things here that you should invest your time on. Don't waste your time with everything. I know that there are some people that you have met that you wish you had never met. I want to give you some things that will change your life, that will help you to be able to focus your time. There is a power that comes in focus. God told Joshua, turn not to the right hand nor to the left, but walk straight up before me. He was saying focus, focus. Don't be distracted by stuff that's going on in the periphery of your life. Focus, focus. Focus produces power and intensity. Focus, focus, focus produces power and intensity. Yeah, you know you can do some damage if you take your little hand and slap somebody across the face. But you can do a lot more damage if you ball those fingers into a unified purpose and make them one fist instead of 5 phalanges hanging out there just stinging the face a little bit. When you pull all 5 of these phalanges together and make a fist and focus your energy, when you focus it and you draw it back. When I took karate and when you got ready to hit the board, listen to me carefully. The goal was not to break the board. The goal was to go through the board, beyond the board. The target was not the board. The target was beyond the board. The board was a barrier trying to keep me from reaching my goal. Are you listening? And when the only reason that I broke the board is because my goal, my target was beyond the board. And when your goal is the board, you always seem to get stuck at the board, never able to penetrate it, never able to break it, because that's not the goal, that's the barrier. There's a barrier in front of every goal that God gives. In front of the promised land, there was a Red Sea. It was a barrier. There's a barrier in front of every divine prophetic promise. If God gives you a dream, if it's writing a book, if it's producing an album, if it's launching a business, I guarantee you'll find a board that tries to stop you and says you can't do it. It's not going to happen. It's too expensive. Nobody's going to be here to do this. There are regulations and things that you can't seem to figure out. How do I get beyond this? And it becomes a barrier. And when you let your focus become the board, you'll never get past it. The only way to break the board is to see beyond the board. See beyond the board. You have to learn to live above sea level, because the board is an optical illusion. It's an optical illusion. Just sit there to try to stop you. Here's some things that you invest your time on. Number one, invest time on your faith. Invest time on your faith. Thank God that you're investing time on your faith. I commend you for being here. I commend you for the time that you're investing on your faith right now. I commend you for the time. You're in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. I commend you for the investment of the time that is on your spent on your faith. Spend time with God. Spend time in prayer. Spend time in praise. Spend time in worship. Spend time in the Word of God. Spend time on your faith. You must invest in your faith. Invest in your faith. Whatever you invest in, you become stronger in. Whatever you invest in will begin to multiply in your life. Number two, invest time in your family. In your family. And your family is not merely all of those who are blood related to you, because sometimes people that are blood related to you limit your life. They remind you of your limitations. Real family are people that are connected to you in spirit. Real family are people who believe in you, people who encourage you, people who support you, people that will mentor you, people that will develop you, people who will challenge you to grow, people that have a kindred spirit with you. I am not blood related to my wife, but she sure is my family. And so God gives you family, my daddy used to say, but the devil gives you relatives. Touch your neighbor, say, I know those people. But do not slight what is near while aiming for that which is far. You're looking for a target way on beyond here, and then you begin to slight that which is near your family, that is near you, because you're chasing after something that's way over here. Don't slight what's near while aiming for what's far. I would rather decrease my standard of living and spend better quality time with my family than to be working 18 hours a day, and when I come home I've got to sleep and I can only say hey to my children on the way out of the door, and they rarely even see their father. I would rather spend quality time with my family, because children spell love T-I-M-E. You need not only need quality time, you need quantity time with your family. What you spend your time on is what you become better in. Invest time in your faith, invest time in your family. Number 3, invest time in your finances. I mean, you can't just be with your family all the time. You got to go to work. You got to make some money. You do know that romance without finance is a nuisance. When I say start investing in your finances, start investing early. Start investing early, because compound interest works miracles over time. A head start is better than starting over. It's better than starting over. Invest in your finances. Invest in your finances. Get a financial plan. Make a budget for your life. When you make a budget tells your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. Here's number 5. Invest in your fitness. Invest in your fitness. Invest in your fitness. There's no need in having all the money in the world and your body's laid up sick. You can't even go anywhere. You just spend all of your money, all of your wealth trying to regain your health. Invest in your fitness. I was in the gym one day and an old man told me, he said, had I known I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself. Take time to take care of the temple of the Holy Spirit. Take time to take care of the temple. Your body. Make time to exercise. Make time to rest. Make time to eat properly. To nourish your body properly. Make time to have fun. That is a part of it. Fun releases stress. You can't just be in work mode all the time. All work and no play make Jack and Jill very boring. Invest time in your fitness. You've got to take care of the temple of the Holy Spirit. If you intend for this thing to be able to serve you, you got to take care of it. You have to take care of your automobile and get your oil changed, and you can't just put anything in your automobile. Take care of your body. It's the only one you're going to get. And it's better to take care of it on the front end than to have to pay for a new engine to be put in it. You invest time in your faith, invest time in your family, invest time in your finances, invest time in your fitness. Number 5, invest time in your future. Invest time in your future. Plan ahead. It wasn't raining when Noah built the ark. Plan ahead, plan ahead. You don't get what you want, you get what you prepare for. Prepare for it. Preparation is the greatest sign that you believe that something greater is coming. Spend time preparing for it. Prepare for it to happen in your life. Work on your dreams. Work on your dreams. You know what the Bible says, Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 15 and through 17? See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. See then that you walk circumspectly. Circumspectly. Say circumspectly. Can I give you a little etymology and philology here? Circum means around. Spect means to look. Circumspectly, looking around. He says, see that you walk looking around. Looking around. Looking around. Looking around. You know, ministry is people. So when I go places, I look around, because ministry is people. There are opportunities that you will miss if you only focus on what's on your ministry. You're not looking around, you miss value. You miss openings. You miss somebody else failing on their job that gives you an opportunity to be able to fill in something. Walk circumspectly, looking for it. If you don't see an opportunity, you cannot seize it. So you have to be circumspectly aware, cautious, vigilant of opportunities that are all around you. See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. Therefore, do not be unwise, but understand what the will of the Lord is. I like to read that to you in the Message Bible. It says, so watch your step, use your head, make the most of every chance you get. These are desperate times. Don't live carelessly, unthinkingly. Make sure that you understand what the Master wants. Make sure that you understand what the Master wants. Just make sure that you do understand what the Master wants. And I want to encourage you to you have a need to really maximize your time, because you're not going to get any more time if you don't use the time that you have wisely. That you have to be in a position in your life where you'll just take time to write down everything that you do over the course of the week as it relates to your job or to your career. Write down everything that you do over the course of the week on a sheet of paper. Just write it down. Make a note to yourself. Write down everything that you do, from answering the telephone to returning emails to doing all of this. Write down everything that you do in the course of a week, all of your job-related activities in the course of a week. You get all of those things written down on a list. Once you get that list done, then ask yourself, if I could only do one of these things on this list, which one thing is it that brings the most value to my life and the organization for which I work? Which one thing is the thing that I would have? And once you identify that one thing, then go back to that list and ask yourself, if I could only do two things, which two things would it be off of this list that I would just have to do? Which two things? And then you'll see that second thing emerging. And then go back to that list one third time and say, if I could only do three things out of all of this stuff that I do every week, what would that third thing be? And then you'll identify these three activities. This is called the law of three. The law of three states that there are three things that you do that produce 90% of the results in your life. Are you listening? Three things, not 15, not 20, not 25 or 30 or 50. Three things. I know you got a whole lot of stuff on your list. You see a lot of places where you'll be able to cut the fat because they are time wasters. Spend the majority of your time. You ought to spend 80% of your time on those three things that produce 90% of the results in your life. Are you listening? And you make sure that if you really want to maximize your life, maximize your life. And here's another thing that can help you. That if you were given 6 months to live, your priorities would change. What is it that you would want to make sure that you get done in these remaining 6 months of your life? And I want to tell you this. Whatever you would do in the last 6 months of your life, start on it now. Start on it right now. It will teach you to maximize your time. Maximize your time. Redeeming the time, for the days are evil. And let me just tell you this, that Benjamin Tregel said. He said the very worst use of time is to do very well what needed not to be done at all. It's to do very well what needed not to be done at all. And for every minute spent in organizing, an hour is earned. For every minute that is spent in organizing, an hour is earned. May I just tell you to realize the value of 1 year? Ask a student who has failed a final exam. To realize the value of 1 month, ask a mother who has given birth to a premature baby. To realize the value of a week, ask an editor of a weekly newspaper. To realize the value of an hour, ask the lovers who are waiting to meet. To realize the value of 1 minute, ask the person who's just missed the train, the bus, or the plane. To realize the value of a second, ask a person who has survived an accident. To realize the value of 1 millisecond, ask the person who has won a silver medal in the Olympics. Time waits for no one. You have to treasure every moment that you've got. Treasure every minute that you've got in your life. And sometimes you will go through what is deemed a hardship. But adversity is the thing that qualifies us for greatness. Have you ever discovered that every person that we esteem as being great had some very extenuating odds to overcome? If you're ever going to be great in anything, you're going to have adversity to deal with. It makes you strong for the journey. Smooth seas never made good sailors. It's when God has put you in some very turbulent waters that you become masterful circumnavigators of the sea. God has given us the ability not to just give you an easy journey, but God will strengthen you. It is because of hardships that strength is produced in your life. You will never have strength unless you had opposition coming against you. And God uses on your journey to bless you and to help you in your life things that look like they're so difficult. It looks like an enemy, but an enemy is actually propelling you to your destiny. God sent a prophet here to Hezekiah, said, Hezekiah, set your house in order or you're going to die. And he repented and cried out to God, and God gave him 15 more years. But the great tragedy is that even though God gave Hezekiah 15 additional years, Hezekiah didn't really spend those 15 years setting his house in order. His sons would be carried off into prison, castrated, and taken captive. And when he received that prophecy, Hezekiah responded in Isaiah 39:8 that the word that the Lord has spoken is good, for he thought at least there would be peace and security during my lifetime. And he had no concern for what would happen to his children. He didn't secure the destiny of his own family. He wasted 15 years that God was giving him to leave a legacy to his children. The former president of my alma mater, Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays, pens the words of the wonderful poem that I love, God's Minute, that I only have just a minute, only 60 seconds in me. Forced upon me, can't refuse it, didn't seek it, didn't choose it, but it's up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it, give account if I abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but eternity is in it. You can't change the past, but you can ruin the present by worrying about the future. But when you take care of right now and maximize the moment, make your time count. Make your time count. Make your time count. You know why I tell you that you need to make your time count? Because eventually, if you live long enough, no matter how wonderfully well you live and how high your achievements are, there will arise another generation that will not know you. Do you think that people 1,000 years down the road will know who Oprah Winfrey is? Do you know people from 1,000 years ago? There'll probably be a different medium. It'll seem so antiquated. Do you know who invented the 8-track? I don't. That hadn't even been 1,000 years ago. And what you might think is just wonderful and marvelous, 2,500 years down the road, people will be saying, Steve, who? It doesn't matter how deep the impressions of your footprints that you leave on the seashore. Because when I'm walking on the beach today, and even if I'm a heavy person and leaving deep prints, there's a constant ebb and flow of water coming in. And every time it comes up, the grains of sand are washing away the imprint of a sign that I was even here. Because this thing is not about me. It's all about him. This thing is about being able to point. They don't need to know who I am. I'm a signpost directing them to Jesus. And if my sign is taken down, God will put up a new sign, still pointing them to Jesus, the King of the ages, the Ancient of Days, the Son of David, Son of Abraham, coming into the earth. And my little footprints, the marks that I have left on the sands of time, the ebb and flow of the ocean is washing them ever away. They might not even remember a few years down the road. The only reason that I'm here at Word of Faith right now is because it's my season. And a tree can only bring forth its fruit in its season. It is my season, and I've got to be able to seize the moment during these times where it is my season, but my season will pass. And it is a pledge of my life. I don't want to die still a player on the field. I want to die as a coach, helping somebody else so that the game still rolls on and on and on and on. And if I'm not building somebody else to take my place, I'm wasting my time. If I center this thing on me, this thing is centered on him. It's centered on him. It's centered on him. And your time is limited. There's a clock that is ticking. You don't even have the ability to slow it down. And the beat goes on. Wherever you are on the planet, no matter what you're doing, you do good, it beats. You do bad, it beats. The beat goes on consistently, time ticking away. There's no such thing as saving time that will never stop for any man. It's just constantly the tick-tock of the clock. And God's going to come to a place saying, I gave you talents. You're going to have to give account. What did you do with what I gave you? If you've got 6 months to live, what in the world would you do? What would you do? The time that you have is so critical. Every head bowed, every eye closed, nobody walking, please, just in reverence to God. If you're in this place today and you spent time doing stuff that didn't amount to anything, how many times have we wasted time, money, energy, and efforts on stuff that didn't pan out for anything? And we wasted money on drugs and alcohol and pornography and loose women, and loose men, and you wasted your substance on riotous living, on stuff that had no longevity in it, that had no ultimate purpose in it, and you were inebriated, anesthetizing the pain of life instead of coming to the one who gives true life and who heals the source of the pain.
Thank you for watching Power for Living with Bishop Dale C. Bronner. Until next time, God bless you.